I'm Kirk Wollas. I come from the United States, state of Colorado. I'm here as an entrepreneur working in the field of organic agriculture, working in phonics technology. I also work at Impact Hub Yerevan as a volunteer, working with small businesses and NGO startups. I came from the United States originally, here in 2011. I had just left a teaching career. I was a classroom teacher, history, US government, in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I basically burned out teaching and I needed a new challenge. So I had a former student, a diaspora, and she and her friend, another diasporan, started an NGO here and wanted to get it going. It was an environmental NGO. It was called Armenian Environmental Network. And they needed somebody to come over here and live over here and run it. I said, okay, let me give it a shot. That was my first introduction to Armenia. I left in 2013, went to the United States, started a business, the business I'm in now, which is phonics, aquaponics, fertilizer production, clean organic food production, basically. And I came back in 2019 to get the business started over here. Turned out to be an interesting time because 2019, 20, 21, Armenia saw war and COVID, so there was like a 2-year break. And so we really only got started a couple years ago in the business. It's starting to pick up traction. The NGO we also have is starting to pick up traction. We're building systems for schools, and so there's a lot of opportunity here. When I was making this decision to leave teaching in the United States, I applied for several jobs. One was teaching. I was trying to get away from teaching, but it seems I can't get away from teaching. I was looking to China, teaching in China, English. Then there was an opportunity that I turned down. It was running a school in Burma, in Myanmar. And I was like, that's still education. And Armenia, I didn't know much about Armenia. It just, for whatever reason, it just seemed like that would be the one I should head towards. And I don't really have a final reason why. It's just like, of the choices, I chose this one. And I think it turned out all right. We wanted to start this business, either aquaponics and then we pivoted to liquid organic fertilizer, because there's a problem in Armenia and a lot of places in the world. And the main problem, as we see it, is this use of synthetic fertilizers. So they work quite well. The first 2 or 3 applications, they're synthetic. It's a mix of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, and other micronutrients. You mix them all up and you pour them in and it turns into fertilizer. The problem with these fertilizers is that continual use of them on soil, on the land, it eventually denudes the soil of all of living nutrients. While they work well in the first 2 or 3 years, after a while, you find yourself having to add more synthetic chemicals, fertilizers, to get the same yield. And then following years, more, and then more the following year, then more the following year. Pretty soon you've killed your soil. This is a problem the United States Great Plains is facing. They've turned the Great Plains into essentially a hydroponic system. The soil is dead. We've killed it with artificials. So the same thing is happening in Armenia, and it's very obvious if you look at Lake Sevan. So Lake Sevan every year, except maybe this year because it was a mild summer, has an algae bloom, right? It just one second you're looking at it and the water's fine, next time, boom, algae. The whole thing's algae, which is very dangerous for the lake's health, sustainability, and it's very dangerous for humans as well, and whatever wildlife is in there. And a lot of the algae bloom is caused by runoff of these synthetic fertilizers. And the main one here in Armenia is called Salitra. So we determined in our pivot towards fertilizer that we wanted to produce a product that could be made at the local level with very simple technology that could be made on demand so that they wouldn't have to buy this synthetic stuff or expensive imported organic fertilizers. Our business today is taking waste, manure from various sources, fish, chicken, rabbit, cow, and doing a little bit of simple processing, running it through what we call a bioreactor, and having the worms converted over into fertilizer, a liquid fertilizer. The benefit of this fertilizer is that anybody can make it in any village in the country, in their backyard, in a basement, in a spare room, in a garage. All the resources are here, and we don't use them. We call it waste, but really it's a resource. Chicken waste is a resource. A little processing and it turns into gold. Same with fish waste, cow waste. And so this is what we're doing. We're trying to turn a wasted resource into gold. Aquaponics LLC is essentially a three-person team. We have, of course, additional people, people that work for us. You know, we trained two local ladies from the village, and they're running it. They're doing an excellent job. They actually know more about aquaponics than probably anybody in this entire region. They work with it every day. But it's a three-person team. The co-founder, my co-founder and CEO, her name is Ani Makurchan. We started this business on her family land up in Detmashen. So she's the CEO. She handles all the stuff that Meline and I do not want to handle. Meline Bilbulyan, she does everything else. She helps me build, design. She's our trainer. She trains ladies, usually ladies, to run these systems. And because I'm so terrible at Armenian, anything that needs to be done in Armenian, she does it. She's our project manager for all this stuff. She's, as we would say in the United States, a jack of all trades. She does a little bit of everything. And I couldn't work without Meline for sure. We're going to North Gyur, right? Yeah, and we're going to drop off some garlic samples. We grew garlic recently as part of a test for our fertilizer. And it now has to be tested in a lab for protein content, ash content, to make sure that the fertilizer is doing as we said it's going to do. And then we'll do the same thing in next year. We'll repeat the experiment, and then we'll get a license for our product that we're developing. We are in the process of licensing our fertilizer, and to do that's 2 years. It's a 2-year process, and that requires us to go to 3 regions and use our fertilizer on 3 different crops. My colleague Mel is supervising that whole project. So she usually does the traveling and then just lets me know what's going on.
It is.
Is there another way?
No, merci, chat. There's a gas station. From gas station, take right.
Ah, okay. This is it? I don't think so, Mel. I think it's maybe from here. It said turn there, but there's nothing there. I don't know. Everybody's going this way. You think we should turn back?
Yeah, I think we should turn back.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, this road. I know this road.
Oh.
It's a terrible road. What?
North.
It says 15 kilometers from here. It's not possible.
We've committed. It's done. We have no choice now.
Yeah, it's
And now Mel knows more than I do about our business. This is it.
This is the entrance.
And we're going to park in the shed.
Anyway. Can I take that one?
Yeah.
I'll bring it back.
I understand this. Farmers need to see proof. So the ones we're working with now, we're showing them proof, right? We're here. It's working. Side by side with your salitra, with your no fertilizer, here's our fertilizer. Is ours growing better? Is ours healthier? Does it taste better? And if the answers to that are yes, the farmers understand this. Mel, I have some interesting news for you.
What?
The window behind us went down and will not come up because it disappeared completely off the track. We're gonna go back where we came in.
It's just...
You're on. This is the best part of Armenia. Sometimes you have an emergency. You know, in the US, you have to drop your car off, you wait, a week. Here, they might actually be able to fix it quickly.
Okay, not them, but we continue, go, and
So
after the gas station, there is Gevorg Electric.
All right, here we go. I like this. In the US, if I had a problem with my window, I'd have to drop the car off. It might take 2 or 3 days. Here you drive up, some guy comes out, rips the door apart, fixes the window. 10 minutes, best part. Hing Hazar. Perfect. One mistake in my route, one broken bridge, one broken window, onto our destination. Now we've been registered as a company for 7 years or more, 8 years, but I consider ourselves a startup because when we pivoted away from aquaponics into liquid organic fertilizer, we essentially created an entirely new business, an entirely new business model. I think we're in our 2nd year of operation, and that's how I look at it. So we're early stage, and we still have a lot to learn. What we're doing now is producing fertilizer from chicken waste, but I don't think that's the best product yet. I think we can improve our product by adding different ratios of different animal wastes. So here we are, and we're going to head on over that way. In addition to the LLC, which is producing and selling the fertilizer, we have a NGO called Omniponics. The NGO is focused almost entirely on schools. If they have a greenhouse and they want us to build inside the greenhouse, we'll build a system for them inside the greenhouse. We're standing inside a greenhouse it's a UN project, World Food Program. We didn't build this. This was built and it wasn't functioning, so they asked us to come in and retrofit it, fix it. And so we came in and we did some changes and we added some things to get it up and green. And in this case, we use aquaponics. That big old pool over there is filled with fish. This pipe is sucking the waste, pulling the waste out of this fish tank, and it's sending it over into this bed of rocks. That's where the conversion from waste to fertilizer takes place. The reason we build these is not to turn the students into farmers. Virtually no student that visits that, 1, 2, might become a farmer. The purpose of building these systems is to teach the students STEM education. STEM means science, technology, engineering, and math. It's a way for the students to have experiential, hands-on learning, working in a greenhouse with equipment and pumps and various things to learn these kinds of things. We also call it STEAL, science, technology, engineering, and environmental literacy, which we feel as part of Omniponics is massively important, that these students start finding and understanding their connection with nature and their surrounding. It's not to turn kids into farmers, it's to turn them into thinkers and critical thinkers and problem solvers, and to provide them with a little bit of an understanding of what it is to be empathetic. And this is why we do these things. Education should be fun. So this is an area in which they can have fun and learn at the same time. So I'm just checking for worms down there. There's worms in here, but they're probably very low at the moment. The worms like to hang out closer to the bottom where there's a lot of sediment. The fish are producing 2 types of waste: urine, pee, and fecal matter, poop. And the pee is converted to nitrates, which is fertilizer,
by Mother Nature. It's through two bacteria, Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter. The solid poop, however, Mother Nature can't handle that just by bacteria. So that's why we put those worms over here. They eat the poop, and the worm poop is the world's best fertilizer. It's a very fast turnover from fish waste to fertilizer. And I'll show you some worms here. These are California composting worms, and their normal job is to take solid waste and to eat it and break it down and turn it into soil, which you see behind. They're terrestrial worms. They don't normally live in water. It's not their climate. It's not their ecosystem. We added oxygen to the bed over there so that they can live and work there. And the advantage of that is that you can turn solid waste into a slurry, a liquid form, and pump it into the bed and have the worms eat it right there and immediately convert it over to fertilizer.
The pivot away from aquaponic production to fertilizer production came as a result of about 2 years of incredible frustration with the food distribution system in Yerevan. Our market was Yerevan, and we discovered that if we wanted to sell to grocery stores here, their standard practices didn't fit with how we did our business, and I'd never heard of it before, is that we had to, if we sold them 20 heads of bok choy, they bought 20 from us, but they could only sell 10, we were required to buy the other 10 back at a week old. Every other place I've ever been, you know how much of this stuff sells. You order it, and we produce it and sell it to you. If you don't sell it all, that's on you, but it's on the seller here. And so the grocery stores immediately became a no-go for us. So we then concentrated on restaurants, and the restaurants were difficult because a restaurant would order at different days and small amounts, and parking and driving in Yerevan. Can you imagine if I had 20 restaurants and I got to deliver 3 to this one, 5 to that one, 6 to this one? The labor costs were outrageous for this. We just said, no more food, we're going to go to fertilizer.
And then the water splits, goes up into here, here, and here. So one of the more important parts that's sometimes neglected in these systems, these ponic systems, is air. We believe you can't have enough oxygen in the system. So we have oxygen in the fixed tank, oxygen in the bioreactor over there, and then all of these beds have oxygen, which comes through these pipes. Plants love oxygen at their roots. They can't get enough oxygen at their roots. So we try to supply them whatever makes them happiest. That's what we do. All of the water in the main system goes down at the very, very end of the greenhouse. And this pipe that I'm standing on is the return pipe. All the water comes back here, up into the fish tank. And the water is clean by that time of all the nitrates. So it comes back and the fish swim happily in clean water. It's the cycle of nature, just like in a stream bed ecosystem.
When I came here, it was important for me not to segregate myself into the expat community. I have expat friends here, of course, and good expat friends, and we hang out. I have some friends from the diaspora here, and we hang out. But I have a lot of friends here that are locals, and I hang out with them a lot as well. So if I'm going to move to a country, I don't want to be separate from the country. I do live in Yerevan, and I live in Kentron because my language skills are terrible, to be honest. I have yet to pick up Armenian. I can speak a little bit, but not very much at all. Shame on me. I enjoy Yerevan. I enjoy the clubs, the cafes, the restaurants, the music, the art scene. I enjoy it all. And because I do, I have to be here. It's the only place you can get it really in the country. So Yerevan is my city. I think Yerevan is probably one of the most amazing cities I've ever been in because it is so walkable. I never drive when I'm in this city. I can walk everywhere within 20 minutes and be at the far end of the city. if I need to meet friends. We don't get this in the United States. It's almost impossible to get the spontaneity that you will get in Yerevan. Yerevan, it's like, hey, what are you doing? Nothing. Let's go grab a beer. Okay, where are you at? Okay, I'll be there in 30 minutes. Okay, see you in 30 minutes. Boom, done. In the US, it's like, give me about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. It just doesn't work. Spontaneity in US cities is rare. And here, it's constant. And because it's such a small area, you're also running into people and friends. So I think in that sense, Yerevan is world class for what it can offer in terms of walkability and safety. And it's getting better every year. I like the fact that Armenia is small. It's a benefit for us too, because if what we're doing works and it's adopted by a couple farmers, it spreads quickly. It's easier to make an impact, a positive impact in Armenia than the United States. The United States is massive, right? So here, if we're working, what we're doing is great, it impacts a lot of people very quickly. And that's quite gratifying, actually.